Heading back to the UFC Apex for UFC Vegas 90, we have Brendan Allen taking on Chris Curtis. This one's actually a rematch. In the original matchup, Curtis knocked out Brendan Allen. Just like last video, I'm going to give you guys my quick picks and give a quick breakdown for each fight on the card. Before we get into the video, I want to give a quick recap for last week's UFC event, UFC Atlantic City. We went plus 9 units for a 73% return on investment, ROI. Both straight bets hit. Chris Weidman plus 240, had 2 units on him. Good profit there. And then Chidi Njokuani minus 141, had 1.5 units on him. Both guys look like favorites in hindsight. There was that controversy in the Chris Weidman fight, a couple of eye pokes. But come on, I mean, he was up 2 rounds to nothing. Both guys look like favorites. Good profit there. That makes 24 of the last 28 UFC cards have been profitable for like a 87% hit rate. I don't know what else to say. We're consistently making money. Let's get into the matchups here. The first fight is Melissa Dixon, well, formerly known as Melissa Dixon, now known as Melissa Mullins, taking on Nora Cornell. What I do want to say up front about this matchup, Melissa Dixon is a huge favorite. If this fight ends up being a striking match, a kickboxing fight, she's not going to look like a big favorite. But if she decides to grapple or wrestle and get this fight down to the mat, she's going to look like a favorite. And I actually think that she has the chance to get the finish in this matchup. Pick is Dixon. Next fight, Dylan Butka taking on Cesar Almeida. The pick here is Butka for a number of reasons, mainly because of the grappling upside. He has a collegiate background in wrestling, but not only that, I like his pace, his pressure. He's a durable fighter. He's way younger than Almeida, and I actually think that his striking is pretty good. It's not that bad. Obviously, you have to give the advantage in the striking to Almeida. He has the kickboxing experience. He fought Alex Pereira. Everyone's talking about that, but I wasn't too impressed with his Contender Series fight. I think that his opponent gassed out. Everyone's talking about Almeida's defensive grappling. I think that if Butka can push a pace, which I expect him to do, he can dictate where this fight takes place with his grappling. Pick is Butka. Gene Matsumoto taking on Dan Argueta. The pick here is Matsumoto. I typically don't like picking guys making their UFC debut from the Contender Series, especially when they're the favorite. I just feel that the striking, the output, and not only that, but the get-up game of Matsumoto is really good. He has a sense of urgency. If he gets taken down, he wants to get right back onto his feet. We know Argueta is a good wrestler, but he's wild on the feet. He's hittable. He throws looping shots. I just think that Matsumoto is going to win minutes. Pick is Matsumoto. Next fight, Cynthia Calvillo taking on Piera Rodriguez. I think a lot of people are going to look at this matchup on paper and see that Calvillo is on a 5-fight losing streak. But as always, context matters. If you look into it, she's fought 5 really good fighters, and her last few fights are really close. I just think that Cynthia can win this fight wherever the fight takes place, especially in the grappling department. I think she's the better overall grappler. And I think that if she gets Rodriguez down to the mat, who has been exposed in her last fight, she fought Jillian Robertson. If Calvillo gets her down, which I think she will, I think she actually has the potential to find a finish. Pick is Calvillo. Next fight, we have Victor Hugo Silva, striker, taking on Pedro Falcao. Falcao is filling in on short notice. I'm going to take the underdog here as well in Falcao. I just think he has a better process. He's more reliable to, I think his wrestling is good. He's more reliable to shoot takedowns and win minutes on top control. Hugo Silva's a little bit wild when it comes to the striking, and I just think that Falcao is going to be the minute winner here, so the pick is Pedro Falcao. Norma Dumont taking on Germaine de Randamie. The obvious thing to talk about here is GDR is coming back from like a 3 to 4 year break. She was pregnant. That's a lot of stress on the body. And Norma Dumont is moving down to 135. Who knows if she's going to be able to make the weight. And the last time she tried to make the weight, she missed weight. So we'll see on that. So a lot of question marks in this matchup, but the pick is going to be de Randamie because I think she's a more athletic. She's definitely the better and cleaner striker. She has the reach advantage, and I like her movement. I just think she's going to be able to pick apart Norma Dumont. Norma Dumont can wrestle, but she doesn't wrestle enough. So I think that I'm picking another underdog. I think de Randamie wins by decision. Next matchup, we have two UFC veterans, Court McGee taking on Alex Morono. You know, Court McGee is one of those guys, he was known for his durability in the UFC, but you can see towards the end of his career, I know his last two fights he was knocked out, but even before that, he started getting knocked down. Not finished, but you could tell that the durability was kind of on the way out. And of course, his last two fights, brutally knocked out. But McGee is more of a grinder. Morono is one of those guys where, like, totally unassuming, looks not very intimidating, doesn't look that athletic, but he gets it done. You know, he's super well-rounded. He can submit you, he can knock you out. He does have some sneaky power. He has good cardio, relatively durable. I just think that the pick is Morono. He's closer to his prime at this point, and I think that he has the capacity to knock out McGee at some point. Next fight, Trevor Peek taking on Charlie Campbell. This one's going to be a quick one. I think Campbell's way more refined, the way better striker. Trevor Peek is an athlete. He's durable, but he's completely raw in regards to MMA. I think that Campbell is going to win minutes, but there's a possibility that Peek knocks him out, but I have to pick Campbell here. Walter Walker, Johnny Walker's, I believe, little brother, is taking on Lukas Bresky. So earlier in the week, Walker was like minus 400, which is a ridiculous price tag for him. He's making his UFC debut. He's not that good. He's just a giant body that can wrestle. But then on the other hand, Lukas Bresky also isn't that good. But what he is good at is throwing a lot of volume. He almost looks like he's one of those guys that is gassed early on, but he can sustain it. The pick's going to be Walker here, but I think the price should be much, much closer than what it is. Ignacio Bahamondes taking on Christos Giagos. I think that Giagos is live, especially early. You know, we saw in Ignacio Bahamondes' last fight, Ludwig Klein was able to work the grappling, mix in some strikes, and he really, really beat up Ignacio Bahamondes. The issue is that Giagos' success is typically very front-loaded, so I can see him having success early and then fading or either getting finished late, like what typically happens in his fights. So the pick is Bahamondes. Next fight, Morgan Charrier taking on Jose Mariscal. With this one, I think that if this fight is clean, Charrier wins all 3 rounds. But we know Mariscal likes pushing a pace. He likes making the fight dirty. He likes working his wrestling. I don't think he's going to be able to do that here. I think it's a close fight, especially because both guys have had some questionable performances in their past. Charrier has been to like 9 split decisions. I just think he's a more athletic, he's younger, he's the better striker, and he has good movement. I'm going to pick him in this fight. Alexander Hernandez taking on Damon Jackson. Hernandez, more athletic, better striker. I actually think he has the better cardio too. He's younger, and I just do not trust the chin of Damon Jackson. Hernandez, I think, knocks out Jackson at some point. Main event time, rematch. Brendan Allen taking on Chris Curtis. In their first fight, like I said, Curtis knocked out Brendan Allen. Although Allen hasn't fought the best level of competition since, and he hasn't fought too many heavy hitters, he's definitely the one, in my opinion, who's made more improvements. And I just think he's going to have 5 rounds to get Curtis to the mat, however he wants. And I think at some point he's going to submit Curtis. There is the risk that he gets knocked out, of course, like the first matchup. I don't think it's going to happen here. The pick is Allen. So there's the breakdown. Thank you for watching. Here is a screenshot of my last 28 UFC events betting. Like I said, I've been profitable on 24 of the last 28 events. I do have a bunch of bets already posted for this weekend's card, as well as for UFC 300, the big card for next weekend. So if you want to subscribe, either shoot me a DM or click the link in my bio.